Hello and welcome to the 17th episode of my Harbinger developer commentary. In this episode, rather than kind of playing through the map or doing anything which we finished last episode, I'm just going to kind of fly through and talk about how I feel about each of the areas and also show off where all the emeralds are. So if you want to find them all, I should be able to show where most of them are off the top of my head. I might have to look some of them up because it's been a long time since I placed them all. But yeah, so here's the finished map. So let's jump in here, and we're back in the starting area. So this starting area changed a lot from. Let's clear that weather. I think weather clear. This starting area changed a lot from the original version. Kind of all these trees and all the greenery was new. But yeah, and these natural spawns wouldn't be here in a proper version. I think it's because I'm playing 1.16. Something got broken, but that's fine. And the first emerald is over here, which you should find without too much trouble, given that there is an indication. And the second one is up here. Yeah, so all of this greenery was new. All of the fire and stuff was new. There's no lava in this village anymore, so you can't set up a cobblestone generator, even if you wanted to. But yeah, also in the original, this area was stone and not andesite, so it did limit you. It didn't limit you from getting stone, whereas in this version it did. And also there was a enchanting table here, which I ended up moving later in the map. Yeah, so the second emerald is there, and I think that's it for this area. So to kind of summarize my thoughts, I think it was okay as a starting area. It's not enormous, but it is big enough that it kind of drops you in and you're forced to actually do some exploration, which not that many maps do, I think, especially not linear maps or linear branching maps. I think in the past with maps like Legendary, exploration was a big part of it, and so I kind of wanted to bring in some of that into this map, and I think this area does that to some extent at least. So coming through here, let's just get rid of these mobs. I know I'm in creative, but regardless, and let's give myself some night vision. Ooh. True. Let's get rid of those particles. Yeah, so this area was quite a late addition, basically linking up the starting area with orange wool. And because it was quite a late addition, it is basically just a big sphere brush that I then eroded quite a lot. Which some people who have, I think people who've done a lot of mapping would see this quite quickly, but I think it's big enough that if you don't map a lot, then you wouldn't necessarily notice, so I was kind of fine with it being like this. Coming down in here, this is the water dungeon. There are 4 of these dungeons in the map, and they all have special loot in, so they all have Beldroth's blade and bow. And up here is where the third emerald is. Well, emerald number 4 is there. We might have missed one, or we've missed one so far, but I'll have a think about where that one is. And then if we follow this dungeon through, we come up into the Sundance Resort area. This one is less of just a sphere, but it is. I mean, it's still basically similar. Like this could just be a big sphere brush and then something hollowed out below. I quite like this dropping in via the water, and there aren't too many mobs around to make it actually dangerous. But when you are coming from the intersection, it kind of gives you just a bit of pause, I think. And then coming down along here, if we come up this way, we come into the city, which was one area that I added kind of later than the other intersection 1 areas, which I really like the aesthetic look of, but the kind of flat design limits the gameplay somewhat. There's a hint where the emerald is from that kind of very bad pixel art above this black concrete house. So if we come in here, it's just down here. And there is emerald number 3. So that is it for these first 2 areas and the first 4 emeralds. Not too difficult to find. The first one's a gimme, and so is the second one, really. Numbers 3 and 4, I think I could understand if you missed them. But yeah, I should probably hop into spectator mode quickly. That'll be faster. These are old honeypots from when I couldn't select. I think selection was broken in World Edit or something. So I was using these like sphere brushes to make honeypots, which is not a good way of doing it. Yeah, so coming back over here to the intersection. I don't know why I didn't just use the shortcut for that, but yeah, so coming back into the intersection and flying over this way. This area, I added in all of these structures before the initial release of the map, but I think it adds a lot of interest to the area and what otherwise would be a pretty just big empty cave. In terms of where the emeralds are, I am racking my brain. I think there is one in the mines down here and one over there. I placed these emeralds when I first made the map, and therefore that was just over a year ago now, I think, and so I have forgotten most of where they are. Yeah, so down one of these tunnels is nearer the bottom is emerald number 5. And I quite like this area. Again, it's sort of inspired by legendary type thing where you've got this area that exists just to give you a resource and not to give you a wool. Some people said it felt like padding, but other people seem to like it a bit more. So yeah, I think I would definitely do something like that again. I would just hopefully execute it slightly better next time. And I really like these big oak pillars that kind of hold up certain areas of the structure. I think it adds a lot. This side of the cave is probably a bit empty, although I do think that having the ship here adds a little bit of something, so that is a good thing. Coming up over this way is where the next emerald is, or was. Or maybe I moved it. Yeah, maybe there was only one emerald. There definitely used to be an emerald here. I think I might have replaced it and forgotten. As I said, it's been a little while. But regardless, let's plow on from here. So coming into this area here, which is the light blue area. This one, I got really mixed feedback on the original version, which didn't have these lava pits in. Some people said it was really boring, and other people really liked it and really liked the kind of nostalgic feel. I ended up trying to keep that vibe, but also improve the gameplay by adding the environmental hazard. It's not so much about the risk of you falling into the lava, so as much as it is limiting the area you have to play in. Kind of in the orange wool area, because it's so big and flat, you can just run away from mobs, and there's always an escape route. Whereas in these bigger cave areas, if you don't add something like this area to fall into, again you have that same problem of a player just being able to run past everything. So having the environmental hazard is a thing in itself of like don't fall, but I think it still also changes the gameplay somewhat outside of that risk. In terms of where the emeralds are in this area, there is one this way, so you would only really see it if you come along this bridge this way, but there is a gap, and inside here is emerald number 6. And I think that is it for emeralds in this area. The other loot in this area is there's a pretty good chest plate in the Spider Slayer, but I think that's about it as well for the area. And this doesn't really house anything. I probably should have put an emerald down there, but oh well. So coming into section 2 and transitioning into this intersection, the transition's pretty abrupt, which I don't love, but I don't know if there was a good way to go from snow to stone very easily. So which area are we meant to do first? I have a feeling yellow is meant to be before lime. So there was this explosion, of course. The yellow changed a lot, actually. Adding in this second section with the dummy fleecy box and adding in all these tree boxes were not originally in the first version of the map, but I think they did make it into the 1.0 release. And kind of adding in this winding section. Before this, it was just a big straight cave, and I think it was RaphaX who kind of kindly pointed that out to me and suggested I try and think of something else to do. And by adding in these walls, and again, using void as the environmental hazard in this case, it's not really a hazard in that it's very easy to walk along this section without falling in, but it does just cut you off from being able to just run through quite as easily. So if you try and run through this section, you're quite likely to be knocked off into either side, and so you've got to be aware of that, and it changes how you play. In terms of special loot, there's this thing here, which is a shovel. So if you need a Silk Touch mending efficiency 5 shovel, you can grab that pretty easily. In terms of emeralds, there is, I believe, just one in this area, which is up here, and I kind of hint at that with this lime powder, which I do in a couple of places, and then the actual emerald is over here, and that is emerald number 9. So it would seem I've missed a couple. I can check the book. Just to see. So I do have these books in every intersection. Yeah, so we got emerald number 9, and we got 1 through 6 in the first intersection. So now if we go into the lime wall area, there are 2 emeralds here. Initially this was a teleporter up this vertical section, and then I decided to get rid of all the teleporters that were like in-area teleporters, so this is why it's such a long, tall like cave basically, but the way that ice melts does give you a quick faster route back up, so I think it works out okay. And then coming down through here, there are 2 emeralds in this dungeon. The first one is in the actual chateau. So Black Forest Chateau, this everything basically after this section was added later on than the original, when I was kind of beefing up the area and trying to fill it out a bit more. So I had the forest, and I had this chateau, which a lot of people said the wool should have been in, but that's not where it is. So the first emerald for this area, I believe emerald number, let's find out. Emerald number 7 is here, and then if we come out of here, and let's just look at the village quickly. Yeah, this whole village was newly added in 1.1. Before that, there was no fountain and no houses to explore, but which I think the houses add a nice touch. They're pretty. They just fill out the area a bit more. It's more of a reason to explore, more things to see, etc. And then finally, if we come, I'm lagging a little bit, probably from all the leaf blocks. Let's just hop into spectator. So there is a creeper face in this wall. I don't know if anyone noticed that, but it's there if you look for it. And so in the final wool room, the emerald is down here in this section. Potentially it's too close to the wool, but it is what it is. Yeah, so that's emerald number 8, and we've basically got all of them for, or we've got all of the first 9, so we're a third of the way there on emerald count. Let's come down here, and now we're into Tendril Keep, which is I think originally it was inspired very much by the area in Spellbound Caves, which you can probably tell from these tendrils. But then adding in these ice trees, these were kind of a later addition, and the area kind of grew up over time. I added in this rail bridge, which I quite like, and also if you dig through here, it lines up perfectly with this one, which I think is a nice little Easter egg, if not actually a useful bit of design. Yeah, so we've got this bridge and the trees, which were all added in later. The outer wall of the castle was in 1.0, but I think I completely redesigned the castle for 1.1, or I definitely I can't remember exactly when I rebuilt this, but it was either in preparation for releasing 1.1 or kind of late on in the original beta. And I think this plays a lot better than the original version. I like having these little towers with the climbing sections, walkways going above other walkways, and the risk of mobs falling on your head. It just gives you kind of more verticality to your area. The emeralds there is one down here. Again, marked by some lime concrete if you are looking for it, and there you go. So this should be emerald number 10, I believe. I should probably slow my flying speed down somewhat. Sorry about this. There we go. Emerald number 11 is there. And so emerald number 10, I believe, is actually at the top up here. So there is a point to the railway bridge, which is to point you to emerald number 10. And we found emerald number 11 in the caves under this section. And I don't believe there are any emeralds. Oh, that green concrete shouldn't be there, but oh well. I don't think there are any emeralds under here. No. And this this dungeon wasn't hugely well received, but it's old CTM style or something, I guess. That's my excuse, at least. And then coming through this area, this is kind of inspired by the tunnel in the back of Etho's potion lab was what I was thinking of when I built this. It's obviously very different, having the prismarine and everything, but these the glass with the brick and the water is what inspired it, and I think it pulled it off mostly pulled off a cooler transition area than just a 3x3 tunnel, which is what it was in the original. So then the 12th emerald is in this area, and the 13th is in the Flight Rock Forest. So originally this was it. This kind of area was, when I was working on the map, this was it for the victory area, and I had the monument here basically. And then one day I was just I was kind of dumb. I wasn't really working on the map much, but I wanted to do some mapping. So I just started building this victory area and building, and it grew larger and larger. And it never really came to anything. It's too big, effectively. I added in these teleporters to warp you around. Let me find one. And so I think they kind of help make the area a bit smaller, which I quite like. And yeah, it does make it more manageable. And then coming down here is where the 12th emerald is. So just in this cave under the water, we have emerald number 12. And you can see that because A, there isn't all of this kelp, which is a big part of it, and also if it was nighttime and I didn't have any effect on, or even in daytime actually, there's glowstone everywhere else in the lake apart from in that cave specifically. Yeah, and all the trees in this area are made with well-lit brushes, and you can really tell, I think, they're not my best work. In terms of the next area, so I kind of said everything I needed to say. Originally, I was going to put the monument on this ship, but I just never really liked the way it looked, which is why I ended up adding in the end portal for the monument. And some people weren't fans of that, but I think having an end portal monument, I think, was a good decision because it's just a little bit different, a little bit unique to the map. And so coming through here, this area was one of the most updated areas from going from 1.0 to 1.1. In 1.0, none of these islands have a biome. They're all like this, basically. And so there's nothing unique about all the islands apart from their shape. And yeah, I basically decided to change that quite a lot because I think without it, it's pretty uninteresting. But yeah, so I think this is probably the most updated area visually. And I also added the teleporters, which changed the gameplay of the area a lot for the better. Before that, you had to ender pearl between islands, which is fine if someone does it. But if they decide not to use the ender pearls, then you're kind of wasting your time bridging, and it's a big area to bridge along. So I decided to get rid of those and instead add these biomes in, which I think are a good addition to the area. In terms of where the emeralds are, I actually can't remember. There is one emerald in this area, I believe. I don't know exactly where. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so the emerald's hidden in the mine. I remember now. So you come in here, fly down here, or jump down here, and it's tucked underneath an area that you can swim to, basically. So if you are cautious, you can find it. And there is emerald number 13. That is the wrong way, I think. No, it's not. So now we're into intersection 3. Probably my least favourite intersection in the map. I kind of talked a lot about light grey when I was doing it. I don't think it fits the difficulty level I was going for the map, but I would actually revisit this concept, I think, because it is really stressful. And so if I was making a hard map, I would reuse something similar to this. Charge creepers, obsidian. It's a good time. It's an awful time, which makes it a good time. The emerald is up here. So you can find it without too much difficulty, probably. So there's emerald number 14. And then the reason that this is my least favourite intersection in the map is largely just because of this area, which is just like too big. And when I was talking to someone about this the other day, and when I was making this area, I sort of had a vague idea that I wanted to have like a cave and a surrounding, like, that you could go all the way around with this central podium. And like, because I had that vague idea, I started making it, and then I just never really got inspired when I was making the area. And I think you can see that from how bad I'm much better at making trees now than I was back then, thankfully. This area is a couple of years old. It was actually made with World Painter, in case you're curious about how I did create the cave. But yeah, it's too big. This cave section doesn't have enough variety in the gameplay, and I just never really got inspired when I was building it. Making the tree, never really got inspired. Making the dungeon underneath, never. Like, I kept adding to it, hoping that inspiration would come, and inspiration never came. So, yeah, a bit unfortunate. My least favourite area in the map, as discussed, but it is what it is. In terms of emeralds, I don't think there's an emerald in here. There is the third underwater dungeon, which is down here. Again, not very difficult. None of those are really designed to challenge you. I don't think underwater dungeons are hugely enjoyable in Minecraft, unless they're done very well. I didn't trust myself to do them very well, so they're all pretty optional. In fact, I think there is an emerald around here somewhere. Yeah. So if you're kind of watching carefully as you come round, there's a lime green powder here. And you can grab it if you come through, and there is emerald number 15. So then moving on and onwards and upwards to an area that I kind of like. I like this mine area. I think it's similar to the mine earlier on in the game, but a slightly better version, I think. I like the way it all links together, and it is here to give you gold, basically. And it does give you a lot of gold. It gives you a lot of redstone as well, and it links together quite nicely. Gameplay is a little bit lacking, but I don't think you need amazing gameplay in every area of a CTM, because some areas are more about the exploration, about like and about kind of really exploring and finding what you need from a map. And so that's what I was going with this area. It wasn't really about the gameplay, but it was about linking those two areas together in quite a fun way, and then also giving out certain materials. In terms of other things in this area, there is Auburn's Mountain Mover 4, so if you need a good pick, you can pick one up there. And now we are into New Undertown, which this was one of the earlier builds I did, actually, but with a big kind of empty courtyard, and it was only towards the end of 1.0, I think, when I was making it, that I actually added in all these buildings. I should probably save some of these buildings because they're quite good. I should save a schematic and then dump them everywhere. I really like the stone brick and terracotta theme. I think it all works quite well, and fundamentally it's quite a nice looking build. The gameplay in the tower is a bit lacking, but who cares at this point. In terms of where the emeralds are, did I put one inside someone's head? No, I don't think I did. Did I? I think I thought about it and then didn't. These are hollow, which they shouldn't be, but oh well. There's an emerald up here, so you can swim in that waterfall and find this one. Sorry, the high-speed flying in spectator mode. So there's emerald number 17. I feel like we might have missed one. Let's just check the book quickly. Sorry, I should have planned out where all of this was, but I didn't. So oh yeah, so we've got Emerald 16 and 17 in New Undertown, so we are good. We've got all of them so far. And the final emerald is in the station underneath New Undertown, so let's speed up a bit and then slow down again. So if you come down this very long staircase into this minecart station, there is an emerald down here. There's number 16. So coming back up here and working our way up the tower, we come into this forest area, which I created with the world edit forest command, which is why it's so overly dense of just plain vanilla trees. These were MC edit trees, which I didn't use anywhere else in the map, but yeah, I think the greenery adds something. Initially there wasn't a roof on this area either, but I think having the roof with the holes in and the vines again added some challenge, because otherwise you just come into this area in the day and there were no mobs. But also I think having the holes and stuff makes it just again slightly different than just having a cave area. So then coming through, we have reached this is where I dug out blocks because I needed some blocks. We've left New Undertown. We're heading into the Undertown sewers. And I cannot change that page because I'm in Spectator. And there's one emerald in the Undertown sewers. So coming down here, this is just a big transition area, really. For two reasons. Partly it was just that I needed to do a transition, which is why this is so long. Part of why it's so long. But actually, I could have made it a lot shorter because the final intersection is like just here, and you end up coming into it on the far side. So it's really not actually that. I didn't need to make the transition from intersection 3 to 4 so long, but I wanted it to feel like you'd really earned like reaching into section 4, and also in section 4 because there's infinite iron and there's infinite lapis and gold and enchanting and everything. If you rush to in section 4, you're pretty set. You don't need to work your way in section 3. You can rush to 4 and then come back. But because the transition is so long, I think it discourages that, which is part of why I was doing it. Coming into this area then, the emerald is pretty easy to find if you are lighting this area up, and possibly easier to find than actually where you're meant to go from this area. So that was emerald number 18, but if you come down into this sewer, and we carry along this way, where am I going? Apparently I've blocked this off. Yeah, so this is the sewer area. I raised the height in this because people didn't like how claustrophobic it was. Again, I am fine with claustrophobic, to be honest. I think that's like the only noteworthy thing about this area. Other than that, it's just a fairly bog standard kind of dungeon. But I did have this void in it, which makes it slightly scarier, and I think that's good because at this stage in the map it needed something a bit more challenging, and the void at least makes it feel like that. There's I think this is a shovel or something, or the golden shovel, and I don't think there's an emerald in this area. Other than that, I think it was just the one in the transition cave with the mushrooms, basically. So then coming along here and along through this minecart tunnel, there's a rail kit there in case you want it, and a teleporter, and we can continue this way. So you continue up through this journey, and there's a boat that you can use to come along this way, and you're kind of presented with this vista, which I quite like. Although, yeah, people said they just swam up the waterfall, which is fine. I was fine with that. I mainly added this other route just so that I could say there was another route. Like if people want to swim up the waterfall, I'm fine with that, really. Yeah, there's even a bubble column that will shoot you up if you choose to take it. Is there anything else in this area? I'm trying to think if there's an emerald or not. But yeah, I quite like the aesthetic of this, the walls of the sewers and the waterfall coming down. Even if the gameplay isn't amazing, I think the vista looks good. So then maybe I should reuse it and copy the water in with lava instead. I think that would probably work as well. And then coming through this area and out into section 4, and we are presented with the final book that has the locations of the emeralds in. Let's go into creative. This is wrong. There are 3 in Pain's Labyrinth and 2 in Desert's Retreat, I believe. We've got Emerald 18 in the sewers, yeah. So now we've got 1 in the intersection, 3 in the Sacred Cur, and then it's 3 3 3 2, I believe. So then if we come over to the middle of the intersection, which is an absurdly large intersection, but it is what it is. So if we come down here, you can grab Emerald 25 from the chest. Yeah, so 25 you should probably get before you get... I probably should have put 25 in a later area rather than... I don't know why you would find 25 after you'd found... I don't know, it doesn't make sense for that to be number 25, but oh well. Let's hop into Spectator again. I keep going to type it in because I'm not used to that shortcut. Yeah. So going into this area, which is probably the best looking area in the map, I think. Maybe this or black, but I think probably this one. There are 3 emeralds in this area, the first of which is hidden here, hidden. So you follow that ladder, and then it's tucked in here, and there is a light, like you can see it because of the light that it gives off when it's dark in this section as well. So that one's fairly easy to find if you're looking for emeralds. The next one is at the top of this tower, which is basically the main reason to come up this tower, I think. Yeah, so there's emerald number 20. And then the third one is in one of these rooms. I feel like I talked about this. Not that one. I feel like I talked about this area quite a lot when I was playing through it. So, yeah, good looking area. The gameplay of the actual dungeon's a bit kind of sparse, but yeah, that's the problem with making a big dungeon like this and with a big impressive build, is that like this whole thing is just big and empty. But yeah, so that's the 3 emeralds of that area. My voice is giving out a little bit, so I apologise if I start getting voice cracks. I have been talking non-stop for 37 minutes, and I've been on a call for most of the day as well, so forgive me. We won't do black first, we'll go to red first. So we've got 5 more emeralds to get. So the first one, I can definitely remember where 2 of them are in this area, and not exactly remember where the third one is. So the first emerald, it's lagging a lot in this area. This area does lag quite a lot, and I'm not entirely sure why. Yeah, I'm gonna just drop I'm already on 6 chunks, so I don't really want to drop that any further. But so from this central kind of pillar, which is here, if you come off this way, the first emerald of the area is here. It's down here. I really like the maze in this area. I can understand if people don't, but I think it's I really like this as a dungeon, and the whole area. I think it's big enough. The only thing is that I'm not entirely sure, like, if it delivers gameplay wise, which is, I think, my biggest takeaway from making this map is like, you really have to think about gameplay. And in this area, I think I did, like the verticality and having mobs above and below, and the different ways up and down. Like, I really did try and make this an interesting area to traverse. But I think the mobs themselves left something to be desired, which is probably the biggest thing I would change about that. So yeah, coming through here, we have emerald number 24. So now we just need 1 more from this area, and I'm desperately trying to remember exactly where I put it. So we've got that one. I get turned around in this area pretty easily, so I'm not surprised if other people did as well. So we've got the diamond mine. Where is the final emerald? Again, it's worth saying I placed these a year ago. So I think I can't remember exactly how I did this area. I guess I just pillared up. It's been a couple of weeks actually since I recorded this, and apparently I have a brain like a sieve on a Friday evening. Yeah, so there is another emerald somewhere. I think it's probably in this area, but we may just have to move on. I might pause the recording and find it and then come back to you. Forgotten the most obvious emerald, which is in this kind of central pillar. If you come, I think, from a certain angle, yeah, so it's here. And you can get that pretty easily. And then, so now we're into the final dungeon. So this was Redwall. It's okay. It's fine. I quite like this area. I would do something similar again, but possibly on a slightly smaller scale, or with more exciting mobs, or just find something else. That je ne sais quoi, if you will. Right, so if we come over the other way, so flying through the intersection. Sorry if you can't really follow where I'm flying, but I just know where everything is in the map quite well, even year on. So now coming into the Blackwall area, the first emerald is not on this ship. I didn't actually explore this ship at all. There's loads of passive zombie pigmen spawners. So if you do accidentally hit one, they will murder you. And there's not a huge amount of good loot on this either, I don't think. But it's here. It's mostly just here to look menacing from the fog, which you kind of only see it from certain angles at certain places. But yeah, I won't. This area looks cool. I like it. The fog, I think, is heavier in 1.16 than it was in 1.15. So you actually can't see the vistas on this area often at all, and striders would make it perhaps a little bit obsolete if you had a saddle. This dungeon, so you can find your way all the way up to the top here, and there's a stack of iron, and then you can probably see the emerald on the other side. There's emerald 26, and then the final emerald is in the main castle, inside the main hall, which I have the entrance blocked off to, and then if over to the right hand side there are these lime concrete powders, and the emerald is here. So that is all 27 emeralds in Harbinger, and a very quick fly through and discussion of the map. I wanted to do this just as like a rounding off of the series in a way that because I had to rush at the end of the last episode and didn't really get to talk about the map in a sort of more holistic view. And also, I think it's nice to show off where all the emeralds are and everything. So now all we have to do is show you what happens if you collect all of the emeralds. So if you do that, I'm trying to think if there's a good way for me to get back. I guess just switching into get back to the monument area, switching into this, and then this. Take the teleporter, and we should be back at the monument now. Yep. Yeah, I wanted to do this video just to kind of wrap up and collect my thoughts on it and everything. But that is going to be it for this series. So thank you for watching if you have done so throughout. I hope you've enjoyed it. There is a box somewhere that I'm trying to find hidden here. So let's control and pick that up. So the way that this works is it's testing for a chest that has the same contents as this chest. So if we place this one down, we get Esmeralda, the emerald merchant, who will sell us diamonds and other resources for sticks. So it's not really a hugely useful bonus to have, but it's there in case. And it is actually a fallback, I suppose. If you somehow manage to lose all the diamonds, you can collect every single emerald in the map and be able to get hold of unlimited diamonds. So yeah, that is going to be it for the series. Thank you very much for watching, actually, if you've made it all the way through. My channel has been very slowly growing throughout, but this series has been certainly the most popular thing that I've been producing, if not the best thing. I think the best thing is my Let's Play of Minecraft, and you should watch that, just to give myself a shameless plug. But yeah, from me and from Esmeralda, that's going to be it. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the series, and I will see you at some point again in the future, but not next time, because there is no more next time. Bye bye.